Okay, we've been talking about the Noble Eightfold Path, and for those who don't remember, the Eightfold Path, that's a very important concept in Buddhism. Right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right efforts, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Why do we have to learn the Eightfold Path? Eightfold Noble Path? Because before you get deeper to find out the way of life of the Buddha, the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha said, you got to know what is wrong and what is right. If you don't even differentiate what is wrong and what is right from various angles, one of the angles, of course, is from morality standard point of view. If you don't know what is wrong and what is right, you're contradicting yourself. So you've got to know what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do first, before you can even proceed. When you look at that map, if you don't even know how to read the map, how can you get out the forest of confusion? How can you get out the forest of reincarnation? How can you get out from the forest of life and death if you can't even read your map? That map, that first step in understanding that map is the Noble Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. You got to understand these. Extremely important. The Theravada spend a lot of time on discussing the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. These are the two concepts that can be dealt with for the whole year to discuss it in detail. A lot of philosophy originates and extends from the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. So, I already have talked about it, but it's good to give a fast review if you don't understand it yet. For those who already heard about it, it's good because when you talk to people, then you can always know what to say about this Eightfold Path. Because it seems easy, but when people ask you what is the Eightfold Path, you can't say it if you don't know. Right understanding. What is right understanding? Right understanding is the understanding of suffering, causes of suffering, that the suffering can be stopped, and we also must understand the method to stop the suffering. That's right understanding. Understanding of the suffering of this world, types of suffering, the causes of this suffering, method to stop suffering, find a method to stop suffering, and we must understand that suffering can be stopped. Not just suffering of yourself, suffering of all others can be stopped. You have to understand suffering, causes of suffering, diagnosis of suffering, and suffering termination, which is nirvana. You also must understand the meaning of karma. What is karma? The cause and effect of karma. You must also understand impermanence, anicca. You must understand insubstantiality, non-self. There's no ego. That ego of yours is insubstantial, but you attach to it. So you must understand that. So these, very briefly, I'm just giving you a review. It's the right understanding. Do you understand it? Causes of suffering, suffering, cessation of suffering, method for the suffering. You understand karma and its implications? Do you understand impermanence of the world? Do you understand cause and effect, causality? Do you understand insubstantiality? If you understand all these different concepts, maybe you pass. If you don't understand anything of these things at all, you don't have the right understanding. All right? This is the right understanding. So after establishing this foundation in understanding, the aspirant starts to meditate, developing the purification of mind. You start to meditate after you understand right understanding. And meditation has two perspectives, samatha and vipassana. Samatha is training your concentration, and vipassana is training on the insight of wisdom, going level up. Samatha and vipassana. Of course, you start with samatha first and then go step by step until you have vipassana. Samatha, is that one word for three things. For concentration, for meditation, and for samadhi. That's samatha. What is concentration? Concentration is the subject concentrating on an object. The nose tip is an object. You, the mind, is concentrating on this object. So you have an object to concentrate on. That's concentration. But in this concentration, your thought goes away. You concentrate on your nose tip. You concentrate on a flame, on a candle of flame. You concentrate on an object. It does not matter what object, variety of objects. You can concentrate on a pool of crystal clear water, concentrate on your belly button. You have an object to concentrate on so that you can direct your concentration, attention to it. And then after a while, your attention goes away. You drift away. So there's a whole series of bringing back. So this back and forth is concentration. And then you go one step further. Meditation. Meditation is, I don't need to go back and forth. I can directly concentrate without wandering thoughts. No more going away. The monkeying mind is no more going away that I have to leash it back. That's the second step. I'm already having my monkeying mind under this control. You're at a higher level. Now that's meditation. A third level up, which is higher, is samadhi. Samadhi is what? I'm one with the object. There's no more subject and object. I'm one with it. I and the object is one. It's not dual. There's no duality. There's no I and he. There's no I and it. There's no love and hatred. There's no poor and rich. No duality. Oneness. That's samadhi. That pertains to samatha. And then you go higher level to vipassana. Vipassana is getting insightful samadhi. So, for these two words, I'm just giving you brief keywords. Samatha and vipassana, it contains so much that you can spend years on it. But you're on the right track for those who meditate. You're on the right track. Don't underestimate yourself. I'm at the beginning. No, sometimes you just require that 1 or 2 years to break through, and then you will add it. Don't underestimate yourself. Oh, I'm still at the beginning. No, sometimes once you achieve that breakthrough, maybe you see a glimpse of the heaven. But heaven is not where we're looking for. Heaven still have to die. So don't believe in just going to heaven and that's the final destination. Heaven, you still have to die. But you live much longer, thousands and millions of years. We're not aiming at going to heaven. We're aiming at going to nirvana. All right, so much for right understanding. Do you know what you should be talking about when you talk about right understanding? Now you know. What is right intention? Right intention consists of 3 aspects. Intention of renunciation, intention of goodwill, and intention of harmlessness. Right understanding concerns a little bit more about oneself. Right intention concerns the merits of other people. So intention of renunciation means that you want to be liberated from suffering, and you also want all living sentient beings to be liberated from suffering. That's your right intention. You want to be liberated from the kind of suffering that we're having now. Do you know that you are suffering? Some people say, I'm not suffering, I'm happy. Then you don't know suffering. How can you be happy when you are sick, when you're old, when you have to die? When there's death in front of you, how can you be happy? I'm happy, but when you're sick, you feel sad, you feel unhappy. You don't even know that you're unhappy. So the most important thing is to realize the suffering of the world. You must not deny that fact. So, intention of renunciation is to know suffering and be liberated from it, and other people have to be liberated from it. Intention of goodwill aims at controlling the inherent anger and aversion in you, in us. So intention of goodwill is to control, have a little bit of control on your own anger, your aversion, or your greediness, your jealousy, your hatred. You need to put it under control. Now, how can we practice intention of goodwill? How do we practice intention of goodwill? What's the method to practice intention of goodwill? By loving kindness. Render loving kindness. Have you been rendering loving kindness? Or you've been selfish, you don't care, you just care about yourself? You start your loving kindness from family. You love your parents, you love your spouse, you love your children. You don't even love your family members. How can you render your loving kindness to the rest of the world? Do you love yourself or you hate yourself? You're self-pitying. You hate yourself for being so bad or for being sick. Some people hate themselves for their abusive childhood because they thought that what they experience is because of their own self, and they hate themselves. A lot of people hate themselves. A lot of people who are suffering depression hate themselves, denying their own existence. That's why they commit suicide. So, talking to people who suffer from depression, tell them the first is loving kindness. And this loving kindness should be to yourself and radiate out to others. So what is the intention of harmlessness? It is the intention of compassion, overcoming thoughts of aggression, cruelty, and violence. Whereas loving kindness has the characteristic of wishing for the happiness and welfare of others, compassion has the characteristic of wishing that others be free from suffering. So there's a little difference, compassion, loving kindness. Okay, so that's right intention. Do you understand right intention? Put that in your mind. It's always good when you meditate, what is right understanding that the Buddha said? What is right intention? That kind of review in your mind would generate that loving kindness, that compassion in you. And that's how you continue. You always have those concepts in your mind to remind yourself. If you don't have that concept and you've been practicing meditation, you're not at the right course. Next, right speech. Right speech has basically 4 components. Right speech, abstaining from false speech, abstaining from slandering speech, abstaining from harsh speech, and abstaining from idle chatter. Speech from the mouth. Your mouth did a lot of crime, a lot of sin. You slander people, tattletelling people, backbiting. You're being a lot of bad things. Speech, words of mouth can break lives. It can save a whole nation. It can kill the whole nation. Drop that bomb in that island. That's an order. Millions get killed. Politically, a few words could kill thousands of people. A few words can save thousands of people. So, right speech, abstaining from false speech is don't lie. Be truthful in your speech. Can you be truthful? Or you haven't been truthful? Abstaining from slandering speech. Did you slander people? Tattletelling? Talk behind the back, backbiting? Especially in the business world, we're all competitors among each other. I like to see all my competitors down so that I can stand up. So I will protect myself. I will step on them. I will make sure that they fail. How do I do it? Slander them. People you hate, you slander. How about harsh speech? You curse. Bad words. You curse people. Make sure you don't do those. You observe that all the time in your daily life. People curse on roads when they're driving. Everywhere. Abstinence from idle chatter. Don't talk about idle things. Concentrate in the right thing. So that's right speech. And of course, I'm only generalizing. Think deeper into it. There's a lot of details in it. Right action means abstaining from unwholesome deeds that our body would do. It contains 3 components: abstaining from taking what is not given, abstaining from killing, and abstaining from sexual misconduct. Your body, right action means you don't do killing, you don't steal, you don't commit sexual misconduct. These 3 things. Now today we should be talking about right livelihood. What is right livelihood? Right livelihood is concerned with earning your living in a righteous way. That's right livelihood. Wealth should be gained according to certain standards. One should earn one's living by legal means, peacefully, without coercion or violence, honestly, not by trickery or deceit. Your profession, your job should not entail harm and suffering for others. At one time, while you're meditating, following the Buddha's way of living, and on the other hand, you're doing a profession that's harming others, you're contradicting yourself. If you are having a profession that's unwholesome, you should change it, because you're creating karma for yourself. The Buddha mentioned 5 specific kinds of livelihood or occupations which would bring harm to others and are therefore should be avoided. The first one is dealing in weapons. Guns, machine guns can wipe out a lot of people. So the dealing in weapons, that kind of profession is dangerous. Profession in dealing with in living beings, including raising animals for food, for butchery. You're raising a hog farm, and every day you're selling hundreds of pigs and cows for slaughtering. Chickens. Chickens are the most abused domesticated animals on earth. Every day they're killing millions of chickens by machines. And check the internet, how they kill chickens. Extremely cruel. So don't be in that kind of profession where you have to deal with killing, to deal with living beings. Dealing in meat production and butchery, you avoid that kind of profession. Occupations that are involved with poisons and intoxicants, liquor, and also occupations that involve gamblings. And occupations that directly or indirectly are harming others, change professions. If you're in a profession that is not harming others and helping others, that's good karma. For example, I'm a librarian working in a library, and I'm helping all these kids and helping all people to search information. I'm a good doctor. I'm healing people. I don't perform my medical practice on the basis of profit. I'm rendering my compassion out that you are creating good, wholesome karma every day. The Buddha further names several dishonest means of earning a living, which include practicing deceit, treachery, soothsaying, trickery, gambling, and usury. Now, these are the profession, the livelihood that you should avoid. In other words, if your occupation is violating right action and right speech, don't be involved with that occupation. Change it. You don't need, especially in North America, you can change jobs. Why do you have to be involved in a job that harm others, that harm animals, that would intoxicate others? There are also 3 possible aspects of right livelihood. Rightness regarding actions, rightness regarding persons, and rightness regarding objects. What do I mean by that? Rightness in right livelihood, in occupation, in jobs, regarding actions means that workers should fulfill their duties diligently and conscientiously, not idling away time, claiming to have worked longer hours than they did, or pocketing the company's goods. In other words, if you're working in a company, you have to know right livelihood also include rightness with regard to your own work. You don't cheat time. On your timesheet, you just work 3 hours and you write down 4. You are indirectly stealing 1 hour from the employer. You have to be honest. The Buddha said that is indirect stealing. If you are lazy when your supervisor is away, you are lazy, you relax, you don't care, you're not conscientious, you're violating your righteousness. At the one time you're believing in the Buddha's way of living, you're meditating, you think you're righteously following the Buddha's path. On the other hand, you're cheating. Your timesheets, you're idling, you're being lazy, you don't care about your job, you're not conscientious. You're cheating other people's money. Of course, there's causality in it. One day people will find out and you'll be fired. That's cause and effect. There's another thing, there's causality. But more than just causality, you're not doing the right thing. The Buddha said that's wrong. So in being a devotee, in following the Buddha's way of life, you will be an excellent worker because you know you're responsible. You know that you work hard, you're conscientious. Among yourself, you should have the interaction should be right. You respect others. You don't slander others. You work in harmony. You render loving kindness and compassion, cooperation, harmony. And people would feel your harmony, would feel your loving kindness. So rightness regarding persons. Cooperate with your colleagues. If you find that this colleague is bad and that is a bad worker and he's bad and that's unfair, he's putting all the work on me and I'm going to get even with him, one day I would try to get even. I would retaliate. That's revengeful. That's not the right way. Patience, forgiveness, compassion and loving kindness. That's the most powerful. Power comes from not stiffness and authority. Power comes from patience, softness, and endurance. Lao Chi in his Tao Te Ching said, the most meritorious element is water. Think about water. Water is always flowing downstream. Take a humility. Very humble. Water is very humble, very soft, very tender. Water is always going down. Very humble, very tender. It has a very high sense of humility. But it's the most powerful. It rushes down the strongest dams. Powerful is soft and tender, but it's in its tenderness and softness, it exerts a lot of power. Power comes from endurance. Powers come from patience. Powers come from stepping back. Powers come from forgiveness. Not comes from authority. Not comes from fighting. So this is right livelihood. Even in that right livelihood, there's so much that you should do and you should not do. Think about it. Why do you think that causality has pulled you down in your life? Why do you have to go through all this, what you think, quote unquote, as unfair to you? It's not been unfair to you. You've been creating karma for yourself, and you don't know about it. You have been realizing this bad karma that you created before. What you suffer now. I'm not pinpointing anyone. If a person has a broken family, broken marriage, job always get fired. Oh, a lot of unwholesome bad things happen. Is it because of someone upstairs have been treated you unfairly? You created them yourself. Contemplate within. How do I improve? What's my problem? It's never, never too late to mend. It's never, never too late to turn from that path into the path of righteousness. The problem is you don't even know about it. Now you start to know. This is your first step. Don't get back there. The brightness of the future is in this path, and you can see it. Walk it. Tread the path.